Okay, gentlemen, so we are going to start our chapter number 1. So part 2, this chapter is title is Introduction, so about the course for professional ethics for engineers. So gentlemen, as I said before, this course is very important. I have my plan that the courses I have been teaching, like construction engineering and management. Or another course is construction contracts and specifications. There is another course is project management. There was another course construction planning. Another course. This course professional ethics for engineers. And I taught in the past also quality and safety management in construction, risk management in construction. Inshallah, if I have planned that I will make videos for all my courses for the students. So today we are going to start because I think currently I am working on 2 courses, construction engineering and management, and this professional ethics for engineers. So professional ethics for engineers is a 2 credit course. It's simple and short. So I think I will go ahead with this one side by side with the course C461, that is a heavy course, construction engineering and management. So, but this course is very important, and it's professional engineers for professional ethics. This course is applicable for all engineers, whether they are civil, mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, or they are chemical engineer, petroleum engineering, or they are in any other field, industrial engineering or avionics. Or maybe they are from aeronautical engineering or software engineering. So any kind of every engineering discipline, this course is very important. Like in our school, so all the students from all the disciplines, they are going to study this course, professional ethics for engineers, and this is it's like general course GE 302, and the general course. So now we are going to discuss the second part of chapter number 1. To make the video, little bit less time. If we make cover one whole chapter in one video, so it will make about half hour videos or more. So then students get a little boring, and I think we will keep it, about less than 45 minutes. So allow me to start with the Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulullah, Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri, wa hlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to each one of you. So we are going to discuss chapter 1, introduction, okay, second part of this course. So let's move to the next slide. As you know, I'm Professor Rafiq Muhammad Chaudhry from Department of Civil Engineering, College of Engineering, and Al-Imam Muhammad Saud Islamic University, Riyadh, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So what we in the discussion was, we left where we left last time, last video. So we were here at engineering is managing the unknown. Okay, so when we design new products or new structure, any high-rise building or bridge or whatever structure, so or we design a new products or devices, equipment. So some things are known to us, okay, and something we know partially, So, but because this is designing is like innovative process, something new design. Every structure is unique, so there are unknown things also. So engineering is managing the unknown. Engineering design is about creating new devices, products, and structures. When something is new, many questions need to be answered. This, you see, we discussed this, we move forward to the next slide. So how well does it work? Okay, new structure, how it's going to work? Okay. how will it affect people? How our new device or new structure is going to affect the people around us or the society who is going to use that structure? What changes will this lead to in society? Okay. So what improvements this new device or new product will bring in the society, in the community? How well this, how well will this work under all the conditions that it will be exposed to? Okay. So how it's going to work, how its durability or its, it's going to face those conditions when that new structure or new device is exposed to the environment, weather conditions or whatever, so how it's going to work under those conditions. Is it safe? This is very important. Is it safe? Is it create any harm? Is it going to damage any other person or individual? So the answer to these questions are often partly known. So because new structures, new design for new products, so sometimes we don't have very certain answer to these questions. So now we are going to personal versus professional ethics. Okay, what is mean by personal ethics and professional ethics? Okay. It is important to make a distinction between personal ethics and professional or business ethics. Okay. So we are going to differentiate between personal ethics and professional or business related ethics for the organizations. Personal ethics deal with how we treat others in our day-to-day lives. Personal ethics, like how we are dealing with other people's related to price or things with other persons. How we treat others in our day-to-day lives. Okay. So professional ethics involves choices on an organizational level rather than a personal level. So professional ethics that these structures are built by organizations, contractors, and design companies. Okay. So how these professional ethics involves choices from those organization level with those other persons. So professional ethics involves choices on an organization level and deal with the complex issues between two corporations. Okay. So ethics deal with complex issues between two corporations or between a corporation and a government, okay, between a company or between a government organization or between corporations and group of individuals, or how the relationship between corporation and other group of individuals. Okay, when we design these things, our products, those being used by other companies, so how we take responsibility about our design that it is safe and it will work well when people will use it. So see here, professional ethics, first step is like an introduction to morals, introduction to ethics, introduction to professional ethics. So, and then implementing professional ethics as standards. So it's that we have to follow the written code of things. Professional ethics are written code of conduct and design standards. Professional ethics, we follow the written code of conduct and design standards prepared by those professional organizations like ACI code, AASHTO code, or any OSHA standards, and they are prepared by the professional societies, professional organizations. So professional ethics are written code of conduct and design standards to follow for implementation. So it's like we may use those formula or equations or software, in our design. Now see, it's how it's the origin of ethical thoughts. Okay, so we take help from the Quran. Personal ethics are rooted in the religious belief. Okay, personal ethics in Europe they say it's rooted. They have roots in the religious belief. Religious beliefs are sometimes called cultural norms in the West or in some other cultures. Okay, so in West they they don't sometimes they don't believe on religion, so they call it culture. You know, culture in this American culture, this is Chinese culture, or this is some other Japanese culture or German culture, French. So it's Muslim culture. So it's a belief sometimes called cultural norms. Okay, but in the if we see in the Quran, you know, so how is the reason? So it's the last revealed words of God. The primary source of primary source of every Muslim's faith and practice. Okay, deal with all the subjects concerning human being, wisdom, doctrine, worship, transactions, law, etc. Basic theme: relationship between God and His creatures, relationship between human being and Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. So provides guidelines and detailed teachings for a just society, okay, at the organization level, at government level, at the society level, proper human conduct, and an equitable economic system. So Quran gives us like it's a constitution, you know, for the Muslims to follow. And that if they follow, it's a straight path. Okay, it's a straight path if someone follow the Quran. So it's I mean if they follow the constitution of Allah and just says following the Sirat al-Mustaqim, you know, we say in our prayers, you know, in a Sirat al-Mustaqim, show us the straight path. So straight path is this Quran and Sunnah. Ethics and the law. Okay, now here we are going to make a little distinction between ethics. There is a distinction between what is legal and what is ethical. Okay? So we should understand, you know, what is legal and what is ethical. You know, so ethics they have more high standards than law, because law is have limits. You know, that this is legally like environmental standard, or you can release this thing with this much solid particles in the lake or in the flowing water. So you follow the law. You know, but ethically that may be wrong, you know. So in ethics we follow very high standards, you know, higher than what is required under the law, because law is if you violate it means you will be punished, you know. So but ethics is that you should be more careful, you know, about following those ethical things, so you should be at a higher level. So ethics and the law, many things that are legal could be considered unethical. So many things that we think they are legal, so maybe ethically they may be wrong, you know, considered unethical. For example, designing a process that releases a known toxic, for example, designing a process that releases a known toxic substance into the environment is probably unethical, although it is legal. Okay? If you follow those limits, so it means legally you are doing correct, but ethically that may be wrong, you know, and it will be unethical. As an engineer, you are always safe if you follow the requirement of the law. Okay? So, but as a professional engineer, if you follow the law and you fulfill the legal requirements, so no one will ask you, you know. Okay? But ethically, you should keep your standard higher, you know. In engineering ethics, we seek to go beyond the dictates of the law. Our interest is in areas where ethical principles conflict and there is no legal guidance for how to resolve. Okay? So law is, you know, we make law with the clear things. Okay? But ethically, we have to strive with the higher standards and see what are unknown things, and then later on, maybe the new codes or new standards we will, you know, upgrade. Okay, ethics problems are like design problems. The essence of engineering practice is the design of product structure and processes. And the essence of engineering practice or making design that we have to design products, or new structures or new processes, okay, in the manufacturing related things. The design problem is stated in terms of specifications. Okay, design problems that if we follow the specification, so we are safe. You know, a device must be designed that meet criteria for performance, aesthetics, and price. Okay. So if we design a device or equipment or anything, so it's if it's give the meet the required performance and aesthetic and the price wise it's not expensive, reasonable. So we see that it's we are working within the specifications. Okay, so you know we need to differentiate between standards and specification. Maybe later stage we will go more in detail, but standards like they are ACI code, okay, ASTO standard. There are many standards issued for medical, for engineering, for defense related. So many standards, and those standards like let's say for example ACI code. So that has been published with those organizations. You know, if ASCE is going to release some standards, so it, from ASCE design standards, the release in year number 2020. Okay, so it's with the year of standards. Those standards remain same, you know, in every country because it's a written design code. So, but when we make specification for the projects. Okay, so it means if there is a ASTM, like we need something for testing, we take something from ASTM. Okay, we need for something concrete, we take from ACI code. Okay, we need something for related to the say for example road work, so we take some part from ASTO. Okay, so this is by so it's specification is like mixture of all the standards required for the project. Okay, when project finish, this book of specification finish. So when we design these, you know, in the design we follow the specifications for the project because this specification is going to set the you know material requirements and finishing requirements. So design problem is stated in terms of specification. We have to follow the specification in our design. If the specifications are high, you know, then it will be like project will be expensive. You know, like for flooring, you use the tiles. Thickness of tiles is going to matter. You know, how much is thickness of tile for marble or stone? You know, it's 1 inch thick, half inch thick, or it's 1.5 inch thick. So it's how thick is that you know piece of marble stone or something for flooring. So its price will be higher if the thickness is more. Similar, so these specifications going to set standard for workmanship and for material standards. Within the limits of these specifications, there are many correct solutions. Okay? There will be some solutions that are better than others in terms of higher performance or lower cost. So now, you know, when engineers design these products or structures, so there could be many solutions, you know, many solutions, different shape, so aesthetically, okay, price wise, or performance wise, so there could be many solutions possible, you know. So, but we give a preference that what is good with good performance and low cost. Okay, so we go this way, move forward, you know. For example, competing automobile manufacturers may design a car to meet the same marketplace, yet each manufacturer's solution to the problem will be somewhat different. Okay? So you see now we can see the same like you know, the five-seater cars from different brands. So they have different prices or different, you know, quality standards. But we call it a car, you know. So in engineering time, there is no unique correct answer. Okay? So there are many kinds of solution or shapes or design are possible, you know, for the products. So now it's for engineers, they try to engineer desire to adopt a solution which is higher in performance and lower in cost. Okay, so engineers we usually keep this that among the alternatives, alternative A, alternative B, C, D, okay, or so we try to select alternative that will give us high performance and low cost. Now there we are going to study this introduction chapter for about engineering ethics, some case studies. Okay, so one case study they are going to mention is a space shuttle. Okay, so as I said, this course is applicable to all engineers, so they will include examples from every field, you know, in this course. Space shuttle Challenger accident. Okay. So what happened? The space shuttle was launched in extremely cold weather. Okay, this is like they launched this space shuttle in extremely cold weather, which was not documented. You know, during the launch, one of the solid propellant boosters failed due to becoming more brittle by the cold. So this due to there was a you know solid propellant booster ring type shape things that was become so brittle because of the cold weather. You know, so that started ignition in that Challenger. This failure led to an explosion soon after liftoff. So when this Challenger is lifted off, so it's immediately it exploded. You know. Engineers who had designed this booster had concerns about launching under these cold conditions. So those engineers who designed that booster, they pointed out this thing and recommended that the launch be delayed, but they were overruled by their management. So, but no one from the management listened to their argument, who did not feel that there were enough data to support a delay in the launch. Okay. So management was that they wanted to, because it was a big, you know, at the national level issue to launch the shuttle. So they have advertised. So the management they want to go ahead, you know. Although because of that in those days the weather become too cold, so the engineers they say this is a very low temperature, so we should not launch, you know. But the management overruled their decision, you know, and they go ahead with this launching, you know. So the shuttle was launched, resulting in the well-documented accident. Okay, so now this accident, if you go to the internet, you can find a lot of material about the space shuttle accident. Okay. But it means the people who it was not engineering fault, but the management was insisting that they cannot delay, you know, over, and the argument given by the engineers, so they did not agree with that one. So this can be considered an accident. No one wanted the Challenger to explode. So of course, see, no one was wanted that Challenger will explode or it will collapse, you know. But there are many questions that should be asked. Okay, so we can ask, you know, in the analysis many questions. When there are safety concerns, what is the engineer's responsibility before the launch decision is made? Okay, so because engineers they know that about that ring or that propellant ring, so they know the safety concerns, and it is brittle and it will you know, break. So then, what is the engineer responsibility before the launch decision is made? So, all the engineers they inform the management, but management did not agree. You know? But the engineer did not go public. You know, After the launch, a decision is made, but before the actual launch, what duty does the engineer have? After the launch, a decision is made, but before the actual launch, so there was a time, So in that time, so what duty does the engineer have? So what was their duty at that time? Because when they think their management is not listening to them, so they should have make things public and spoken about their decision, because they need to work in the interest of the public, not only to satisfy their boss, to the management. If the decision does not go engineer's way, should they complain to upper management? Okay, because the decision was not going to their way, so should they complain, go to the upper management, or should they bring the problem to the attention of the press? Or should they spoke and express in the media that something going wrong is going to happen? So but they have not done this thing. So it's this is like a case study. So should they bring the problem to the attention of the press? Okay. So now this is for engineers is always important that you should be sincere with the public, with the society. You should try to solve those problems with your senior, with your immediate boss, with the company next senior manager, and with the managing director of the company, with the owner, and with the other people who are, like board of director of the company. So you can discuss with them, try to solve the things if something wrong is going to happen within the company. If something you cannot, solve, then try to speak out in the press or in the media or in the public. But sometimes people, they fear that they will lose the job because of these things. But ultimately, they should be sincere with the society, with the people of that country. So after the accident has occurred, what are the duties and responsibility of the engineers? Okay, so they are raising questions that what was the duties and responsibility of those engineers after that accident, failure of that Challenger accident has occurred. These types of questions will be the subject of this course. Okay, so inshallah, in the next coming chapters, we will discuss in detail all these kind of things, taking a lot of case studies to understand about ethical things, ethical issues. As an engineer, you will need to be familiar with the ideas about the nature of the engineering profession, ethical theories, and the application of these theories to situations that are likely to occur in professional practice. Okay? So, as an engineer, you need to be familiar with the engineering profession. What are the ethical theories and how these theories are applicable in different situations and in your professional practice, in your design practice. Looking at the other real life cases taken from the newspapers, accounts and books will help you examine what engineers should do when confronted with the ethically troubling situations. So it's, we will study a lot of case studies and how the engineers, they have been dealing with these wrongdoings and how they were speaking or solving those problems, or how they were made accountable. So we will learn from these things so that by learning from failure and things like this, we should get what is right or wrong and how to make sure that the structures we are designing or operating or practicing, they are safe, and they will work well. Many cases will be post-mortem examinations of disasters. Okay, so this is like what we will study after the accident happened. So then those analyses we will study. While others may involve an analysis of situations in which disaster was averted, when many of the individuals involved made ethically sound choices and cooperated to solve the problem. Okay. So we will see that in those cases where engineers, they work together and they try to solve those problems and they interacted with each other, and ethically they acted, made a right decision. So they have averted those accidents or incidents to happening. So we will study those the success stories and failure also. Obviously, had the National Aeronautics and Space Administration (NASA), National Aeronautics and Space Administration (NASA) owned a crystal ball and been able to predict the future, the Challenger would never have been launched. Okay, so if they know that this is going to happen this way, so then administration, administration will not go ahead to launch that Challenger if they know that there will be a failure of moving forward. Same, we have discussed this Ford car case, in the last lecture, like in this chapter. Had Ford known the number of people who would be killed as a result of gas tank failure in the Pinto and subsequently financial losses in lawsuits and criminal cases, it would have found a better solution to the problem of gas tank placement. Okay. So at that time, as you know, that this Ford Motors, they were, because they make an innovative design and they put this gas tank at the behind. So when there was a car was hit from the behind, and then immediately that gas tank caught fire. Okay. And because of that fire, so then there are a couple of teenage girls, they died. And later on, it was found that it was a design failure. So this gas tank should not have been fixed at this place, at the, rear side. So it should be in the middle, so that it should not be hit by a vehicle from the back side. So it was a design failure, and then they face these lawsuit and spend a lot of money, and they pay the money for the compensation also. So engineers rarely have such clear predictive abilities and must base decisions on best guess of what the outcome will be. Okay, so sometimes even engineers, they don't have very, predict about the future, about that product, and they are going to guess that this thing will not happen. So they go ahead with those things, but we should be very careful in these situations. It will be important in studying the cases presented here to try to look at them from the point of view of the individuals who were involved at the time, using their best judgment about how to proceed, and not to judge the cases solely based on the outcome. Okay? So not to judge the cases solely based on the outcome. Okay, so we should not judge like cases based on the outcome, because at that time they might not have proper knowledge, So, but anyway, for studying these cases, it will help us a lot to be careful in our design, and this will help us to make right decisions, and it will be very good learning for saving of lives and safety and caring for the public and for the public money. So that's why I think this course is very important for all engineers, and it's simple things, but they are very important. So they can share these with other engineers, because some engineers they don't have idea about these things, that how these ethical problems, they are going to create a big problem for the companies, and sometimes these accidents put those companies out of business. So in the next chapter, codes of ethics states that engineers' duties to society. Codes of ethics state that engineers' duties to society, to employer, to clients, to colleagues, to subordinates, and to the profession. So these codes, when we learn about these codes, so that we know what are their duties towards the employer, towards their colleagues, towards the client, towards the subordinates, and towards the profession. However, when these duties conflict, the society or the public should take precedence. Okay? So if there is a conflict, like employer want that the employee should do this way, or the engineer know that if he follow the instruction of his employer, so something wrong will happen, then this product will collapse. So in that case, the engineer must take stand and try to convince his boss or his employer or his client to that this is something wrong will happen, so we cannot go ahead with this alternative or this way. So this is the way we are going to learn ethics. In the next chapter, so we shall study professionalism and codes of ethics. Okay, so in the next chapter, we are going to study. Next chapter is about what is professionalism. Okay, what is profession? What are the important things for a profession, and what are the codes of ethics? Okay, so we will study towards the codes of ethics. So inshallah, I ask every engineer who is going to watch this clip that they should continue, and it's a small course comprising on 8 chapters, so not very lengthy. And inshallah, we will finish this and it's not very difficult, but you need to develop your thinking, that your thinking, your understanding that you are going to follow. So with this, I would like to say thank you to everyone. So before finishing let me say Kafara Majlis, dua for Kafara Majlis. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. So meaning is for a majlis, if we have done something wrong, or may Allah help us and forgive us and fulfill that from his career, that thing if we have done said something wrong. So may Allah keep us on the straight path. With this, thank you very much, and see you inshallah on with chapter number 2 inshallah next time. Assalamu alaikum.